How did the running of the studio evolve over time for you? Because you were lucky that you weren't just a Jivamukti yoga teacher. You'd also become qualified in a few different styles of yoga, and you were open to a few different styles of yoga as well. And in fact, that's how you ran Samadhi Yoga, which to date is still, speaking of satsang, the satsang that really connected me to a community for the first time in my life, because I don't always feel like I've had that.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's nice that you say that, because when I opened Samadhi, my biggest goal, my main intention was community. That's what I felt, that the studios I had worked in London and the experience I'd had of yoga in the UK had been that the quality of the teaching was really good, but that the communities were quite disparate and fractured. And I really wanted, and also because I had no friends, that was another thing. I just arrived in this new place. I was like, I need to build my satsang. So I slowly set about doing that. And initially I knew I couldn't open a Jivamukti studio because there weren't any Jivamukti teachers. There was no one knew what Jivamukti was. It would just not have worked. So it took me a good 5 years to get to a point where there were enough teachers and enough knowledge of the practice for that to be viable. So I did quite a diverse range of different types of classes. We had quite a diverse range of different styles of teachers, and it was quite eclectic.
But
really definitely
was.
The glue that held the whole thing together was that sense of family, that sense of community that was really strong.
Absolutely. It really was. I think back to that, and I don't think I've ever had it before. And
it
had
was
it since.
Really precious time in my life, like definitely.
And likewise. It was very special for me because it was the time, as you know, the solar plexus chakra is the energy center that connects us to our self-identity. And when we met, we were both going through an identity overhaul because I'd left the social work and dance world behind, and you fell pregnant with your first son unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And that was actually a very beautiful time for both of us because I was able to step in and look after the studio, and even little Rufus. That's probably when we fell in love, actually, while you went back to the UK. How did becoming a mother impact your identity?
I mean, I can speak to that on a couple of levels. Of course, there's all the practical stuff. In the beginning with the yoga studio, I had been very controlling and sort of, in a good way, you know, very dotting the I's and crossing the T's and wanting to make sure everything was perfect. And then I couldn't do that anymore because I was having a baby. And so I hired a manager, Jess Oliveri, who was amazing. And I remember really clearly thinking, I don't have the money to do this. This is a huge leap to have a full-time manager. Like, my business just isn't going to sustain that. And really being resistant, but also knowing I can't juggle, like being a first-time mum and continuing to run the business. By making that leap of faith, I mean, I was lucky because Jess was incredible. But actually, she more than paid for herself. And I think a lot of people make that mistake in business. I was talking to a friend about this the other day. You know, her business is at that critical point where she needs to take a leap and start hiring people because she's actually doing herself a disservice by not doing that. But she's fearful, as we all are, and particularly financially. You know, it's a huge decision. But in my experience, if your business is thriving, if you get the right person and you do that, it will always take it to the next level, because actually the right person earns more than their own income in terms of enriching the business, but also in terms of direct revenue. So that was one practical issue, and that would definitely be a sort of piece of advice or something I've learned in business. From an emotional perspective, I mean, because the baby wasn't particularly planned, it was a bit of a surprise. So I should say it was with my husband now, who isn't the guy I came to Australia with, just for the sake of clarity, because we just talked about him. So with Paul, you know, we hadn't been together that long. We didn't really know each other that well, and all of a sudden I was having a baby, and we decided to get married as well. So that was, you know, it was a big shift. I mean, I felt ready. I felt ready to settle down. I definitely felt ready to have a child. But I think when you have your first child, there's nothing that prepares you for that. I mean, I'm pregnant now with number 4, so I've had a little bit of experience in this area. And what I can say is that going from no children to 1 child is by far the biggest leap. That's when your life really changes. And then after that, add another few children, changes a bit more, gets a bit more chaotic, but doesn't really, like, that shift from being on your own in the world to some extent, to suddenly having a total dependent. I mean, actually, you have a taste of it with Rufus. That's sort of it's a similar thing. It's that peripheral awareness all the time of someone else's well-being and holding the space for that. It's a huge lesson in life, and actually, I think it's been a really good lesson for me because it has subdued a little bit what could potentially in me start to manifest as selfishness. So that drive and my ambition and my focus can sometimes become a little bit narcissistic. And I think for me personally, and it certainly wouldn't be the solution for everyone, having children has taught me qualities like patience and slowing down, and I don't need to conquer every mountain.
Interesting. It's really interesting. I love what you said about hiring someone to help with your business, because I noticed it myself. I've had an assistant for the last 3 years, and I wouldn't have been able to take my business to the next level in the online world without him. But even building the e-course, it was something that I had to really hire out and start to manage a team, because if I wanted to put out the quality that I really wanted in terms of the audios, the videos, the workbooks and everything that goes into these e-courses, I couldn't do it alone. And in many ways, that's very liberating, not only from my own ego, but just to know that I'm not meant to do it all alone. I don't have to do it all alone. In fact, the product that I will produce will be far better quality if I get the specialists and people that are renowned in their own field to actually help me with this.